What's up, guys? It's the Endless Boss Battle Podcast with episode 16. Sorry we didn't hit you with that Black Clover on Tuesday or yesterday. Was it yesterday?
Yeah, yesterday.
Yeah. I had a lot going on, but we are still trying to do that this week and also hit you with our seasonal first impressions, even though the season's kind of like halfway over. It's been a weird season, though.
Oh yeah.
To be fair, I couldn't be really passionate about a series one week and then the next week I'm like, no, not really into it. I don't know
Yeah.
if it's been the same for you.
Yeah, it's kind of been the same for me, man. There hasn't even shows that I really was enjoying, like Amazing Stranger, I just have kind of dropped off on just cuz it hasn't been doing anything like groundbreaking. Even like Demon Slayer, it's really good, but like I just haven't been keeping up with it. Mostly
Yeah,
just JoJo.
yeah. That I finally jumped on that JoJo train for part 5, and it's cool. We're definitely doing an episode for that. Is most of my excitement comes from there. Um, Yeah, there's a couple shows I really like. I think our awards, it's going to be really clear that this is a weaker season. But, or it could just be my excitement for next season, having all of these things I'm passionate about, is just clouding over it.
Yeah. I've been
But,
it was crazy because we looked at this season and we were like, there's a lot of crazy stuff coming out, like Attack on Titan's second half of season 3. You had like Isekai Quartet, Demon Slayer, Fruits Basket, One Punch Man. Like you had all of these different shows coming out, like Bungo Stray Dogs, what, third season?
yeah.
Yeah, and it was like you had all these shows coming out, but it felt like nothing compared to last season, man.
Yeah, that's really what it was, man. Plus it's like, I think we're not alone in that because it seems like a lot of the big anime YouTubers and stuff have also said that. So it's a relief, at least, that this season isn't all that. But I think the rest of the year is definitely going to be crazy. And I've been getting a lot of manga out of the way and a lot of other shows.
Yeah, I was gonna say with us doing weekly 10 episodes of Black Clover, it kind of clears my mind for seasonal shit, so I can like actually watch it and critique it in my own way rather than just be on the hype train about it.
Yeah.
Because whenever I'm really really hyped about something, I find myself like giving a big bias towards it, and by not being on the hype train, like with One Punch Man season 2, I can be like, or Attack on Titan, part 2 of season 3, I can be like, oh, okay, here's what I thought was good, but here's what I thought was bad, rather than just being like, oh shit, new Attack on Titan episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Attack on Titan definitely came through and like breathed some air into the season, and it's pretty hyped so far. But we'll save all that for another time.
Yeah.
I'm going to. This is kind of a weird thing because we're still planning on doing a regular episode tomorrow, and then possibly Friday. With the Black Clover and the seasonal thing, so I'm not hitting you with any news this time around. So it might be a shorter episode. I'm not sure. But anyways, we each got 3 manga that we want to recommend and talk about what they mean to us and stuff like that. So if you wanted to start.
Oh, alright, I'll do the first one. Alright, so first manga I gotta recommend is the new GOAT to me. The greatest manga I've ever read. It was Berserk before, and it had been Berserk for like 10 years maybe, man. Like,
Yeah.
it was just nothing but Berserk, and Berserk's still my favorite anime. But after reading Oyamasi Punpun, or in English, Goodnight Punpun, that has become my favorite manga of all time. Like, I told you about it. I had started it one night, just read like a couple of chapters maybe, and then I just read all of it in one night in like 4 or 5 hours. I just powered through it because it was like I just kept wanting to read what was going to happen. And
So, so hit him with what it's about as best as you can, because it's kind of a weird.
yeah, it's definitely weird. It's got its own like it's got its own unique art style. Give me a second here. Let me pull this up. Yeah, see, it's got its own unique art style. Everyone in the manga is drawn like really well as humans in their own like I was saying, unique art style, but Pun Pun in this show is just a little bird dude. Or not in this show, in this manga. He's just a little bird dude. And it's like his whole family are little bird dudes, and it's like the only major difference that you see between any of the side characters or people in the background. Like, everybody else looks human. Pun Pun just looks like this. And artistically, it can be a little bit. It can take you a little while to get used to, because you're like, is this supposed to be a comedic manga at first? Like in the first chapter, I was like, I heard this manga was extremely like depressing and dark, but even like a major scene that happens at the end of the first chapter is kind of described in a comedic light or in like a comedic tone, and you're like, I don't know about this, but then you start reading more and more, and you're just like, oh man, I gotta finish this right now. I would say, trying to describe it as best as I could, it is I don't want to say a coming of age story, even though it does follow him throughout his life. It's more of a drama focused on Pun Pun growing up in a unhealthy and unstable environment, and how that really affects him mentally and emotionally around other people. And you kind of see, like, as things happen in his life that are good or bad, it has this domino effect on how he interacts with and treats other people. And I feel if you deal with like depression or any type of feelings of like guilt or regret, or you've had any kind of like situation in life that revolves around those, then you can really, really relate to this manga. I really relate to this manga, and that's why I put it right at the top. It took Berserk's mantle. Berserk's number 2 greatest manga, but Pun Pun was just insane. It was all I could think about for like weeks.
Yeah, I remember. So our other friend is into it as well, and we all kind of decided that we were going to jump into it. And I remember you said that you had read it in one night, and you were like trying so hard throughout our work days to not talk to me about the manga, because I had only read like one chapter at the time, and right now I'm only at like 25 too. It's a very emotionally taxing, but like I think it's very grim, like, but I love the way that portray they portray everyone as human, but everyone has these very serious flaws, and I think every character's skeletons come out of the closet, and you're like, man. And Pun Pun's really just a good dude, and dealing with people around him that are like kind of bad for him,
Yeah.
From what I've read, anyways. Um,
Yeah, he definitely deals with a lot of people who are horrible influences to him. Um, he's got like estranged father issues because his dad's never around now, and it's like, there's just so many things that you can pull from this that the average like adult now was growing up with. Like there's so many people that as kids like didn't have a father figure, a dad, because he either left or didn't want anything to do with the kids, or something happened to him, and it deals with those interactions really well, and you can kind of, like I was saying, relate to it. um and it's like it really plays on like, your dad's gone for all your life, and then 16 or 17 years later he shows back up and is like, hey, I'm want to be a part of your life again. And like in the manga, it's just it reflects how a lot of people in those situations think. And like me, you, and our friend Jeremy had a conversation in Discord the other day. Um, it's almost as if Punpun's drawn like that so that you can like insert yourself into the manga. It's
mhm.
like through like self-inserting yourself and experiencing all of these issues that you may have dealt with, you can grow like a really tighter bond with the writing and the art style and storyboard. Um, yeah, for me, 10 out of 10, like greatest manga I've ever read.
And that's saying a lot. Like even people that have listened from the beginning can tell like that Berserk really is uh, your favorite thing ever. So to get this manga that still doesn't have an anime adaptation, and if I had to be honest, I don't think that it would be too good
Yeah,
if it was.
I
Um,
I have said since I finished this that if they ever make an anime adaptation, it's a mistake,
yeah,
because you just it's so well drawn and written, and the story is so good. And knowing anime industry today, it would be seasonal, 12 episodes. There's no way you're gonna fit all of this story into 12 episodes and still have it as good as it is.
it's really it hits really home for me because like I won't go into too much detail, but like my parents suck really bad. Uh, I've always lived my life trying to not be anything like them, and for every chapter that I've read of it, there's at least a couple moments where I'm like, man, uh, I know exactly what Pun Pun is going through because of the way that these parents are acting with him, and yeah, it's crazy. It's not all somber either. Like the small victories you get in that are monumental, honestly.
Yeah.
Because like the whole time you're like, man, this has just been a wild ride. But it's also like Pun Pun in the beginning is very young, like not even in middle school. So a lot of the world is just him, like unrealistically thinking as a child, and I think that that's really cool that they were able they portray the ages of everyone in the thing really well.
Oh yeah. He has that whole tangent in the beginning where he's like, I want to become an astronaut and fly um, me and Aiko.
Aiko.
Yeah. Wanted to he's like, I want to fly me and Aiko to another planet and colonize that planet, and he's like 5 years old, and I'm like,
Yeah.
man, that's
He's
some
like
that's
Planet Pun
definitely,
Pun.
yeah, it's definitely some like 5 year old thinking shit.
Yeah. He takes everything said to him as like the biggest deal in his world, and like naturally that's fine because it is like when you're a kid, like everything in your home and at school is like that's everything to you. You know, you don't have much individuality.
Yeah.
Um,
You even see it
and
in the panels where like Aiko's like, if you ever lie to me, I'll kill you, and he's like freaking out in bed one night, like, oh no, she's gonna kill me.
yeah,
And
and he's like, I hope it's quick.
yeah. Yeah, man, it's some childish shit at the beginning, not in a bad way, but definitely like reflects on the younger years that most people have their innocence in, but really bad family environment and people giving really bad impressions on you can really change you and rob you of that innocence. And I
Hmm.
feel like it reflects on that really well.
Yeah. So well deserving of that best best ever title from what I've read of it, and I'm certain that when I finish it up, it's gonna be up there, at least in the top three.
Yeah. I cannot wait, man. I'm so ready to talk about this series.
Yeah. It's crazy because when you finished it, I was like, man, I still want to kind of read it alongside Jeremy at least, and I don't want to leave him behind while he's like trying to read it at his own pace because he's just buying the volumes and going through them. So I'm like, yeah, but yeah. So check that out if you're down for a wild ride.
Oh yeah.
Which one do I want to talk about first? I'm gonna talk about what I recently caught up with. Um, I saw so many people on my Twitter account talking about Vinland Saga, and I was never the biggest fan of Viking stuff, but you know, along the lines of Game of Thrones and um, political medieval type stuff, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give this a shot. And man, I can say before I get into what the story is about that it might be my favorite manga of all time, but I don't know. I'm gonna have to wait out this honeymoon phase with it to see because Golden Kamuy was my favorite before, and I don't know. But this is super super good. Um, basically, this guy Thorfinn, his father is killed by this guy Askeladd, and he dedicates everything to defeating Askeladd in a duel and killing him and then taking over his role. But he only wants to do it fairly. And he's kind of a hard badass. And it sort of does the Berserk thing where there's a prequel, technically, and it's like 54 chapters in the beginning, I think. That's this prequel.
Oh man.
Yeah. And it's worth every single chapter of it too. There was not one. I think to catch up, it's like 160 chapters, so not too bad. But yeah, when you think about that being that big of a portion, it's like, man, what was going on in this prequel? But yeah, I won't really spoil what goes on after all that, but I'm gonna say like it keeps itself in a grounded, realistic type action with small moments of shonen-y, like dude knocking a guy like across like a mile away, and yeah, the characters are awesome. You will not get main character development like this. Period. I
Damn.
can definitely say Thorfinn is the greatest written main character I have ever seen. And they jump after the prequel to him as an adult, and his growth beyond that point is like It's insane. And when you read the author's chapters and everything as well, of like at the end of the volumes where he's talking about it and getting interviewed and whatnot, it's it's kind of emotional because you're like, man, I didn't expect this direction from the prequel, but now that I'm here, I'm appreciating every step. And yeah, it's just regular Viking shit.
So, so you said you didn't like Vikings that much or fantasy shit really before you read this?
No, no, no. I'm a fan of fantasy, like medieval politics stuff, but Vikings were never really my thing.
Gotcha. So
I was
after,
more of a like knight guy, you know.
oh yeah.
The pillaging and all that. I was like, man, I don't really know about this, but
So how did this manga make you feel about Vikings after reading it?
um, I think I'm still kind of on the page where like that's not really my thing still, but it didn't make the manga less interesting for me. Like when
Gotcha.
you see the main character's situation and whatnot, like it's it sort of becomes a moment of he doesn't want to be a part of that shit anymore. Like he is raised with the Viking mentality, but he tries to live on like his dad and not kill anyone.
Yeah, yeah, I get
And
what you're saying.
so yeah, it's like you end up seeing the Vikings as bad guys, and I thought that was kind of cool.
So where would you rank fucking was it Thorfinn?
Yeah.
Where would you rank him on favorite male character if you had to? Is he gonna beat like Spike and Bakugo? Definitely not Spike, I don't think.
No, he's not even my. Ah, man, it's hard because like his development, I have to appreciate it unbiasedly, but he's not like my favorite character.
Yeah.
Um, so I would say yeah, he's probably in my top 10 characters, or top like 20 characters of all time, and definitely in my top 5 main characters of all time. But yeah, he's not beating those guys, but the development with this dude is just like I can definitely say nobody gets uh no writing has ever been as good with the main character's development as they do with this. Everything feels very thought out. Like you see something happen 40 chapters from something else that happened and it just ties together perfectly, like he knew he was going to do that all along. And you know, lately I've been reading a lot of stuff that is pulling out a lot of things out of nowhere, and so seeing this I was like, cool. It was a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, man, this you showed me some panels from this at work one day and it looks really good. I really wanted to read it. I was just finishing or just getting off of me being hyped about Pun Pun and started reading some other stuff, so I haven't got to it yet, but I definitely want to read it after from what you've showed me, what you've told me about like the main character. Uh, it looks sick, man.
Yeah, it's not as actiony as I think a lot of people fall off of the series because it's not as actiony as they expect. They jump in and they're like Vikings. Well, I'm just gonna jump in and just see pillaging for 160 chapters, but it goes into a really light mood. But the overlying thing with the story is that you can never run away from war. So Thorfinn is constantly the whole Vinland saga is that there is a land called Vinland that they hear there is no war, and that's like his whole goal is to take these people, the supporting cast, with him to Vinland and live there happily. And like everyone around him is like, no, you fighting is in your heart, fighting is in your blood, like you got to kill people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So check that out. It's good. One of the goats.
Was this manga? Was this one of the ones where once you started reading it, you had to finish it like immediately because you were just like every chapter you're like, oh shit, I gotta find out what happens now.
It was on my mind a lot. I've tried to build up a decent restraint on myself from living and breathing for a series until it's over.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would knock out like 20 chapters a night, and then sometimes it was like okay, yeah, I really have to keep going, and I go to like 35 or 40. But
yeah, for me
quick. I think it was like 2 weeks.
For me, the biggest issue with manga is like, if I read something that's really, really, really good, like with Goodnight Punpun, if I read that and then stop halfway through and take a break, depending on how long of a break I take, sometimes I just drop it, and it's not because like the manga's bad, but it's because like I get interested in other things and then just never come back around and end up reading like something that was really good.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that a lot with me in anime too. Like I have shows that I'll drop after like 10 episodes, but it's not because they're bad shows. It's just because I've found interest in other things and I haven't got around to finishing it. Like we were talking about Made in Abyss the other day, and like I was telling you when it came out, I had watched like the first 2 episodes, and that was all. That's all I've seen of it. So it's like I need to get around to finishing some things, and I feel like Vinland Saga is going to be one of those where I'm going to have to read it all in 1 or 2 nights. Because it just, from what you're saying with the character development, if it's a story that good, I don't want to end up dropping it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it can absolutely keep your attention, and I know what you mean. Like with video games, is where that I run into that problem. Is like I will fall off of a video game that was a lot of fun, and then even if I decide to get back into it months later, I have no idea what I was like aiming to do.
Yeah.
So I just can't end up playing it, and that's definitely the case with manga. I try to make my anime list, like I try to focus on my anime list, the app, just to see and like force myself to complete something and try as hard as I can not to drop it or put it on hold. That's like my way of keeping myself in line.
Yeah. I feel that.
So, yeah. Alright, you're up.
Alright, my second recommendation here. My second recommendation is gonna be, it's from Inio Asano. He's the same guy that wrote Goodnight Punpun.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, and the only reason I even started reading this is because I read a comment on it the other day that was like, yeah, I think it's still here in the top comments since I have anime list pulled up on YouTube. It said, "Why Dead Dead Demon has all the signs of being better than Oyamasi Punpun." And I was like, huh? I was like, you're gonna tell me the greatest manga I've ever read has a competitor by the same guy, where like the common reception of it is that it's better? And I haven't got that far into it yet, but this manga is called Dead Dead Demons D Destruction. That's how I will always say it. I will, like, I've seen some acronyms that are like X4D Destruction or something like that. Nah, man, I'm gonna always say the whole name just because the D Destruction just rolls off the tongue for me, man. But yeah, this manga, I haven't read that far into it, but so far, from what I have read, it seems to be like a story similar to Punpun, where it's following like adolescent main character going through like a kind of struggle and then like growing through it. Pretty much, just to cut it down without spoiling too much. It's this girl and some of her friends. They're going to high school one day. Everything's perfectly fine. Then all of a sudden, gigantic alien mothership shows up in the sky, and there's a fucking alien invasion. And the governments of the world are like, doing their shit at the beginning where things are getting crazy. But as all of this is going on, the main character is still trying to go to school every day, hang out with her friends, like not let this whole apocalyptic setting bother her. And it's really interesting to see like some of the public's reactions to things and how they're like sometimes in different parts of the city there's been like looting and shit happening and how like all the characters react to it. And yeah, like I said, I haven't read a lot of this one, so I can't really give too good of an opinion on it yet, if it's better than Punpun or not. Probably only read like, I want to say 3 or 4 chapters, so not even that far into it, but I do want to recommend it just because if you have read Goodnight Punpun or you're going to, this is that author's latest work. So it's getting a lot of praise, and I definitely think it's something that needs to be on people's radars.
Yeah, I agree. So, aliens have dropped down?
Yeah, like there's a big mothership in the sky, and from what I understand so far, there's a ton of stuff happening, like around the city where like there's crazy shit like paranoia and all of this stuff going on. I've read up until this point where her and the girl are on the rooftop talking about the spaceship and shit. Everything seems pretty normal so far, but the little hints at like riots and shit like that, it's got me wanting to read more just to find out what happens.
Mm-hmm. I mean, 8.19 is the score. I think it sounds more up my alley than Goodnight Punpun. Not that, not to pull anything from Goodnight Punpun, but I think the sci-fi aspect of it is very cool.
Yeah.
And I already know from what I've seen. I forgot to mention this, but with Punpun, it's like a lot of people can make the argument, or you can't make the argument because it's not true. But like at first, when you look at the premise of Punpun, you think that, oh man, maybe the artist just doesn't have a lot of skill, and that's why Punpun's drawn this way. But then you see the other panels of the regular kids and stuff, and the backdrops of like the buildings and shit, and it's like insane.
Yeah.
Like, 10 out of 10 gorgeous, absolutely. And I remember at least 4 times in these 25 chapters I just had to stop and just stare at a picture for a long time. So I think that the idea of following this dude and whatever he does with the writing and the art style is like definitely worth. I don't see it going wrong.
Yeah, and I will say, way later on in Punpun, you do find out why he's drawn like that.
Oh.
Yeah. There's some like subtle hints that they give you toward the middle and end, and then finally like they don't come out and say why he's drawn like that, but they give you enough clues to gather why that is the case. But yeah, this, like I said, I haven't read that much on it. This is the one I'm anticipating the most, which is why I included it. And yeah, I cannot wait to read more of this. I just gotta find some time. Like me and you just worked Avengers second weekend, and it was crazy. And the first weekend of Avengers was crazy, and I just have not had the time to read much manga. And I'm gonna get it done. After this, where I'm going to start reading some more of this, and wouldn't be surprised if I show up with lack of sleep tomorrow because I read all volumes of Dead Demons DDD Destruction.
Yeah. Yeah, I have it on my front log for stuff I want to finish, but because I think I'm gonna take my time with Punpun to link up with my friend Jeremy, and then I might just go ahead and read all of Dead Demons. I think that the mystery of what the fuck is going on, but also maybe a coming of age story, like that sounds dope.
Yeah, that's about all I got for that one.
Well, I'm glad you picked one that you haven't really read too much of, because I just started something literally an hour before we started this podcast, and I read 10 chapters of it and immediately wanted to talk about it here. But it's called Act Age. I believe it is Shonen Jump, and it's not action at all. It's a slice of life about a girl that takes the role as the parent of these two kids after her mother dies and her father leaves the family. But it's all about acting. She is sort of she's a method actor, and she tries to these people, she does this audition, and this one guy that's kind of a misfit in the business, he really sees something in her, but she has a lot of growing to do as an actress, and but she has a passion for it. But she has this issue where she keeps I can't put myself in this scenario of acting because I haven't experienced cooking for my mom or something like that. And yeah, so it's man, 10 chapters really got me going. Like right now there's this arc going on where she auditions for this movie called Death Island. And it's basically like Battle Royale, where in the movie there's just a bunch of people on an island trying to kill each other, and her whole struggle in the audition is, I don't know how I can pretend that I want to kill somebody when I've never wanted to do that. And she needs to grow with her mentor, this guy, this misfit dude. And like it feels like she takes all the information she's given and tries her best. And I think she's a really cool main character. But she gets linked up with these 4 other dudes. And of course, you got like the glasses type guy that's just a skis ball, but you know that he's a good dude deep down. And then like the loud like Nagisa from Free type of character, and then like this other chick, and they all have their own hopes and dreams of becoming good actors and actresses as well. And I think the story is extremely fascinating, and I'm surprised that it's in Shonen Jump.
Yeah, dude. First off, I want to say I think our boss Kevin would love this kind of manga because he's into theater and acting and shit.
Yeah.
I think this would be right up his alley. Second, yeah, with it being in Shonen Jump, I thought that was a little weird. And like I had mentioned in our Twitter chat earlier, when I was younger, I used to buy like Shoujo Beat, which was Shonen Jump's sister magazine, which was just slice of life romance stuff. That's all it was.
Oh.
And I remember Shoujo Beat got discontinued in 2009. So it looks like any slice of life romance stuff that has been coming out has been showing up in Shonen Jump.
Yeah.
And to me, that's a little weird. Because I think they should keep the shoujo beat stuff where it's
I
like,
think that'd be awesome.
yeah, targeted to those kind of audience. Because like you're gonna be flipping through.
Well, shonen is technically aimed at younger boys, right?
Yeah,
So it's like around 16-year-olds, and then shoujo is aimed at younger girls, if I remember correctly. So, like, yeah, that definitely doesn't make any sense, but hey, it's whatever. If it's apparently still doing okay, you know, so.
Yeah, and it's it might be kind of jarring to like be flipping through a chapter of this and then suddenly you're in fucking One Piece territory and you're like,
Yeah.
Okay. But it sounds, from what you're telling me so far, it sounds really good.
I think that it's especially neat because the things that she's acting out, they will actually draw it out like it's real. So her first task was to act as if there's a feral wolf in front of her. So they actually drew the wolf and like had her her whole acting was actually showing the wolf like biting her and stuff. And they were like, "Wow, this is super realistic." And yeah, so any scenario she's put in, they kind of draw it as if it's really happening, and you can kind of see it from her perspective because as a method actor, you make yourself in those roles, like you are that person there.
Yeah.
So yeah, like the second task, she's in like the samurai period of time, and like she has to watch a kid get killed in the middle of the street, and like, and she's originally like, I can't watch this kid get murdered, and they're like, yeah, but like kid's not actually getting murdered, and she's like, no, I need to see about getting out of here because I can't just watch this kid get killed. So she like the first thing she does is like she kicks the dude that's trying to kill the kid. And the dude's like, "Whoa, what? Who is this fucking extra here? Get her out of here!" And they're like, "No, we're gonna give it another go." And she like just keeps throwing herself in the scene, and they're like, "You're just an extra. Stop." And she's like, "I know, but like, I'm trying to act this out, and I just keep seeing you trying to kill this kid." And yeah, it's
dang,
it's crazy.
Yeah, it seems really cool. I'm gonna have to. I might pick this up too after reading the one we just mentioned.
Yeah. I think I'm probably gonna finish it out. It's like it's ongoing and it's only 60 chapters right now, so it's definitely like
that's cake.
Yeah, no problem. So I'm thinking about finishing that. There's a lot of people on Twitter that talk about it all the time, and they kind of got me into reading it, and then I didn't expect to be that into this. I will say really quick, I was planning on this slot having a manga I was reading and got like 100 chapters in called High Rise Invasion, but that got so bad that I had to drop it, and I'm kind of glad that I was able to check it out as it was getting bad. So I didn't recommend you guys something that's like very mid-tier, like not that great. Yeah, that's all I got on Act Age. I've only read 10 chapters, but it's really, really good.
I'm really surprised that the High Rise one got bad. Because from what you were telling me about it, seemed pretty cool.
Well, the gist of it was good, like the original mystery of it all. But I think what they had an issue was they kind of started to get answers way too quick. And then you're like, okay, well, how are we going to get out of this? And then they just throw in a whole bunch of like filler mask guys, and then it turns into like a Naruto episode where a fight is like 10 chapters, and it's like, okay.
So, do you think if it ever gets made into an anime adaptation that it will probably be on par with like Angels of Death.
Yeah.
I definitely
Unfortunately.
when you showed me, or I was looking at stuff you posted on Twitter of it, and I was like, yeah, this looks kind of cool, but it also seems like it has the potential to be like as edgy as Angels of Death.
Oh yeah. It's super edgy, and like they run into this boss dude where he's like, I can manipulate people with masks. You will bow before me, and it's like, wow, dude.
Yeah.
Edgelord coming through. And yeah, it just kept getting bad, and I was like, I made the tough decision today to drop that and start up Act Age. I was like, I need to drop this edgy seinen shit and get into a slice of life really quick. Yeah, it was a disaster. I went from originally having it as like a 6, and now I would probably give it like a 3.
Damn! Oh
It's
my
not.
god!
It's not good. It's not even creepy either, because like it was spooky at first, and then they just kind of throw the same concept at you over and over, and you're like, yeah, okay, it's still creepy.
Damn, man.
So
Ain't,
yeah.
it ain't no Colosseum.
No. So we might do like a anti manga recommendations episode.
Gotta have a manga roast. That's what we need to have it. It's just roasting manga that we just despise.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all I got. So
Alright, I'll move on to my last one. You already know what this podcast is all about.
oh yeah.
You already know we're the Church of Devilman around here, my mans. I'm gonna have to definitely recommend the Devilman manga. I don't know why I didn't recommend it last time. Probably because I didn't own it. But I just recently got the, I think it was like the 25th anniversary hardcover special edition. I think it's an omnibus. It has like 5 volumes in this bitch. Alright. If you've seen Devilman Crybaby, it's a little different. It follows the OG Devilman more than Devilman Crybaby. It's pretty much scene for scene the same as the anime. I mean, obviously, the manga was written before they made an anime adaptation, but like, if you watched the anime and then want to read the manga, you would love it. It's just like, I don't know how to describe it, man. Like, there's so many scenes that you get invested in the anime, and the old Devilman anime doesn't have the best reputation, and I can see why, because they put so much care into the manga, and it didn't really get translated that well, and my god, man, just... I never liked the old Devilman that much, but I would give this one a 9 out of 10. This manga, for sure.
Damn.
Yeah, Devilman Crybaby for me is still 10 out of 10, but OG Devilman manga is going to be a 9 for me.
Yeah, I always knew that when they made Crybaby, it was like a completely original idea, right? Like not original idea completely, but like they threw a lot of their own things into it.
Yeah,
it was like a creative change.
Yeah, it was like completely different art style, completely different, not really completely different storyboard. There were definitely like major things changed, especially like in Crybaby, making it a more modern setting.
Yeah, with the technology and social media playing in.
Yeah, exactly. In the old Devilman, a lot of it is kind of like it has very, very heavy 80s vibes. So, like, you know in Crybaby and Devilman Crybaby where they have the scene where they're in the club and he turns into, Kira turns into Devilman?
Yeah.
Well, in the manga, they're in, like, an 80s disco.
Oh,
And
man.
it's like, you know, there's just so much, like, cultural, like, references from the time period in this manga. And, oh, dude, like, I'm just looking through it right now. I've already read this entire hardcover, but I'm just looking through it as I'm talking. And there's just so many good, like, 2-page panels that are just, like, amazing art. And it's, yeah, man, I don't know. I'm speechless.
Yeah, it seems like it's I look at that hardcover on Amazon a lot and I think about getting that. It seems like that and Akira are probably the two manga from that time period that are definitely like they were kind of pioneers for seinen, the genre.
Yeah.
Like the adult themes, those two were definitely taking the cake.
Yeah, you got Devilman, like, out there innovating way back in the day. You got fucking Dororo out there innovating way back in the
And
day.
Berserk.
Yeah, Berserk was just insanely good. And oh man, I don't know if how do I put this? I expected this giant Devilman omnibus collection to be subpar when I read it, just because I liked Crybaby so much. And after watching the old Devilman, I wasn't that into it. But man, the art style in this and the story. There's even, like, every couple of pages you come across, like, an arc, and the entire arc is in color, my man. Like,
Man.
it's just that important that they're like, yo, we need to make this look badass in color. And yeah, great. 9 out. I give it a 9 out of 10. It's pushing a 10, but I only save the 10s for masterpieces when it comes to manga. I think the only 2 10s I got are Punpun and Berserk.
Fair enough. A 9 is still super good, so.
Yeah.
And like considering, you see all the stuff about Dororo, it's like, yeah, we have to appreciate the manga for what that was, but I've also heard that the manga hasn't held up over the years. Like it's like really hard to follow and not that solid of a story. So like the anime is definitely the way to go for that with all of the updated, terminologies and stuff.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, like it seems like these 80s creations, like they're still super good. I've heard that the Akira manga is better than the movie, which
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to say anything, but that movie was fucking fire. So
Yeah, man. Speaking of Akira, like, I'm going to either this next paycheck, or it's gonna be one of these paychecks, or whenever my Mabadogi account sells that I was selling, I'm going to buy that 25th anniversary Akira box set, because I loved the movie so much, and I just want to see. I've heard the manga was better, like you were saying too, and I just want to see what all the hype's about with the manga, because like that movie was insane.
yeah, I bet it's solid. I bet it'll be on a future recommendations video
Oh
from
yeah,
the Endless Boss Battle podcast.
hell yeah.
Anything else for Devilman?
Nah, man, I've said all I want. It's one of those that I can't really get in depth with it as I did with Punpun, because it's more of an artistic blown away. Like, this was made in the 80s, and every single panel is so well done, and there's so much care put into it. With Punpun, it's like every panel's really well done, And there's an amazing story and everything that goes along with that. With Devilman, it's like you could have one of the most garbage storylines ever. If you draw it in this style with this much care, I'm gonna keep reading it because this shit looks fire. And that's exactly how I feel about the 25th anniversary Devilman Omnibus.
So
Uh,
does that have everything in it that you have? Like, is that the whole story, or is there like another?
this is, I believe, half of the volumes of the entire Devilman manga are in this
Oh,
hardcover.
that's
So
solid.
they have another one that I need to get to, which I don't know when that one's come or when I'll be able to afford that one. But they're about retail $30 a piece. If you go through Right Stuff like I did, they're 22. So really, really, really good value. $22 for uh like 5 volumes of Devilman. That's insane.
Yeah,
And then it's a
for sure.
collector. It's like a collector's item because it's hardcover and it's the Classic Collection Part 1 25th anniversary. So, yeah, man, like I highly recommend if you're a collector, get one of these. Um, Same with like the Berserk omnibuses. They have one out right now and they're releasing another one in June.
Yeah, those Dark Horse hardcovers.
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm definitely getting those because for even though I already have like 3 or 4 volumes of Berserk, I definitely want to get that for collector value. Yeah, that's all I got. I kind of went on a little tangent there, but yeah.
No worries, no worries. My last recommendation I've got is something I definitely should have talked about in the last one, and I kind of wanted to read up a little more before I did. But Dr. Stone. This is the perfect time to talk about Dr. Stone because the anime is coming next season. Um, yeah, it's another weekly Shonen Jump series, and basically the entire world gets encased in stone, and our man Senku gets released out of it first, and he's a scientist, and a lot of the manga is him hitting you with equations and ingredients to make certain things and trying to strategically get civilization going again. And yeah, man, it's very unique, and I will say I think that the anime might translate and not pull people in the way I hope it does. But at least the manga, the art is really good. The story's solid. Senku's a great main character. Like one of the most infamous things this guy has done is when this girl was like confessing that she really loved him or liked him or something, and he just said, when you're a scientist, you don't have enough time for stupid stuff like love. And he
Damn.
just says, "Get miss me with that shit."
Oh
I'm
man.
good.
He says, "No, I ain't got time for that. You think I got time for that? I gotta save all these. I gotta save the people that are important."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the whole thing is like he has to free this one guy. They have differences, and then that guy kind of takes his villain role for the series, and so because the villain feels like he should just free everybody, which is, that's a good motive. I understand that. But Senku is like, we can't just go free everybody. Like, we have to be really smart about this, or else we could, like, cause an uproar of, like, really bad stuff. Like, not everybody's a good person, man. And so that dude gets his team together. And so it sort of builds the manga up as, like, a battle of science versus power. And, yeah, so Senku gets his science team together. and teaches
Man,
people all that he can.
could you imagine waking up? You're the only person on Earth, and all of humanity's in stones, and you're just some fucking crazy scientist that's like, shit, I'm gonna try to fucking help out all these people that are in stone, like encased in stone. Man, that would be crazy.
Yeah.
It's like,
He even said that he counted all of the seconds that he was in stone, and it was like, I think it was a ridiculous amount of time. It was like thousands and thousands and thousands of years
damn.
that he was just counting from the beginning of being encased in stone.
That dude, okay, so they're encased in stone and they're still sentient?
They can think and stuff, yeah, but
Oh,
they're just
man.
locked in.
Yo.
And so it's cool because you have the battle with the guy that gets the Force Squad together, and it's science versus power and whatever. But there's also just the mystery of like, what the fuck happened, right?
Yeah.
Like, why did we all even turn into stone in the first place? So yeah, it's I think it's at around like 180 chapters right now. So
And still ongoing?
yeah.
Damn.
And still strong too. I really do think Dr. Stone is going to be one of the big three up there with My Hero and stuff when the anime airs.
Yeah, it's got some, from what I've seen from the anime like previews and stuff so far. It's got some of those like Toriyama vibes.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I don't want to say similar art style, but I feel like definitely inspired by.
Yeah, you can tell from the like facial expressions. Like our friend Jeremy, he really loves Toriyama, and like Dragon Ball is actually like his favorite creation of all time. So like he was super about Dr. Stone from the minute that I got into it. And he hasn't said that it was because of the style being similar, but I can tell that it had a factor of some sort.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, so I love how much mystery there is in it, and it's like all of the science stuff is really, really thought out. It reminds me of the Golden Kamuy when they talk about the Ainu culture. It just feels like the artist put in the research, and I really respect that.
Yeah.
You can very easily get caught up in dumb shit with Shonen Jump, and like, I'm glad that Shonen Jump has turned into or gotten out of like power levels and power systems, and like we can actually have stuff like Dr. Stone where like these are just regular dudes doing regular stuff and trying to get civilization back to a decent level. Because that stuff, that power system, power level stuff, it's cool. Don't get me wrong. I tune into most of the shows, but it's cool to have that change of pace, and I hope that it kind of transitions to a new wave for Shonen Jump.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be really cool. I was never a big fan of like the whole Bleach, One Piece, Dragon Ball style stuff. But like I'd still read or watch it. Not with One Piece much because when I started getting into anime, I think One Piece was already a sizable amount ahead of everything I started watching.
Mm-hmm.
I think that shit was on like episode like 120 or something like that, and yeah, I was like 120 episodes. I'm not watching that shit. Same with like the manga. Now it's like crazy, but yeah, man, I love the like psychological deep thinking shit that's coming out of Shonen Jump recently instead of the like muscular men beating the fuck out of each other.
I think it's really strange that after Death Note there wasn't more after that. You know, because I think Eye Patch Wolf recently made a video that was talking about non-battle battle shonen or something. I think was the title. But
Yeah.
basically, he just focused on like the series that's about wine tasting and competition with wine tasting, and then talked about Death Note and things like in Kaiji and stuff like that. Where it's like you can still have hype moments without having uh, All Might rock somebody in the face, you know?
Oh yeah, and that's that with sports manga and anime. That's the perfect example.
Yeah.
Like sports get hype as fuck in real life, and it's like if you can capture that in an anime in such a way that Slam Dunk, Kuroko's Basketball, Haikyuu, shows like that do, great. Even with Free, like Free will take something you probably don't give a shit about, which is swimming, and you're
Yeah.
just like, oh hey, this is decent. I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah. They the perfect blend of competition through non-action means with like drama, life drama.
Yeah.
Yeah, I dig it. But the world building in Dr. Stone, yeah, I heavily recommend it. Check it out. It's actually the series that got me into reading manga besides just reading Berserk. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah, it's gotta be good then. I'm gonna have to check it out too.
Yeah, I just wish I would have mentioned it in the first one, but I wanted to have read more in it to recommend it.
Yeah, I mean,
Plus, I was on
I
that Golden Kamuy hype train at the time.
I
So.
forgot to mention the most important anime and manga of all time, which is Devilman in our first manga recommendation. So, you
The
know,
goat.
the goat, the greatest to ever live, to ever be lived, to ever previously have lived, and
It's still a 9 out of 10 though.
yeah, to this day,
But Devilman Crybaby.
Devilman Crybaby though. That's a 10 out of 10. You know they always talk about there's only one God. That's why OG Devilman can't have that, because Devilman Crybaby got that.
Just came through and said, "Oh, I will succeed where you failed but almost succeeded."
Yeah, like Master of Otaku said in chat, praised be thy Devilman.
Yep. Yeah, that's our 3 manga recommendations. I'm looking up right now to see when we exactly did the last one. It says 1 month ago, so March 28th. So we're on our right path to doing our monthly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna try and keep that up. I still think I'm strong. Strong focus on the manga game. We'll try to keep getting these to you guys.
I'm still, like, I posted in our Twitter manga group that we're in all the things I bought this paycheck. So I'm still in the game of collecting and reading. So just got to find time, like I said. That's been kind of a busy, like, 2 weeks for us.
Yeah. Once this Avengers wave goes away, well, I think we're going to be okay for at least until the summer.
Oh, yeah, for
but
sure.
Even then, we'll probably still have a lot of downtime.
Oh, yeah. Our Thursday episodes will probably be later, since we have to usually stay at work later in the summers.
Yeah. But we'll definitely try and keep you guys updated as we go through that.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, that's it for our off Thursday episode. We're still planning on having one tomorrow and possibly Friday. Stay tuned. We'll hit you with the episodes. I think we're going to do seasonal, and then we are going to try and fit in our 11 episode 11 through 20 of Black Clover.
That's the one.
So it's gonna be a good one. I think
Yeah.
I will go ahead and say that it's getting better than the first 10 episodes, and I will go ahead and say right now we had our first very serious negative comment on the channel in 16 episodes.
Yeah. But it's still
Uh,
it's still okay because I like taking criticism,
yeah,
and
for sure.
when I can have someone respond like that and then still have a chat with them about it, it's good. And like just remember, if you watch this, it's all opinion based. So it's like, we might shit on your favorite show and say it's the worst ever, but in reality, Black Clover isn't the worst anime ever made. The
Yeah.
fan base is loyal to it. They love it. It's, but to someone who doesn't love it, I have my own opinions. Scuba has his own opinions. So, yeah, just keep that in mind, Black Clover, not the worst. That award belongs to Skelter Heaven.
That award goes to Fairy Tale. I'm just kidding.
Damn, you're gonna have all of the anime community on us after this episode.
I think that it's hard because the only downvotes on videos and the only negative comments we ever have is when we touch on things that are like, I guess, off of the general opinion. And it
Yeah,
sucks that like voicing how you feel about something is like more often than not going to get you negative reaction. And I don't know. It's not obviously stopping me from wanting to keep doing the Black Clover thing, but like I understand wanting to defend your passion for something, but like we were clearly saying in the video that like it's got a lot of good things, and right now it's just going through a lot of bad things, but we think it's gonna get better. So
yeah. You're like it's gonna be weird because we both share some unconventional opinions about certain shows. Like you're like fuck Naruto, fuck Fairy Tail, fuck Black Clover. I'm like fuck Naruto, fuck Dragon Ball Z. Yeah, so it's like there's gonna come a time where there's gonna be a show everyone likes, and I cannot stand it, man. And especially with Dragon Ball, I am ready to take heat for that. All right, I'm prepared, but
oh, we've been talking up that episode for so long. We just need to get that out of the way.
yeah.
We need to get our friend Jeremy in here for that. The dude that's passionate about Dragon Ball, and then I'll just try to be the guy in the middle.
Oh man, I ain't ready for a double roast session.
Well, I'm not gonna go at you.
Yeah, dude. It's one thing to recognize a show as being how do I put this? It's one thing to recognize a show as being groundbreaking for the industry like Dragon Ball. It's another thing to like it though. I definitely respect shows that are groundbreaking in their fields and have changed anime as a whole, but I also feel like I don't have to like them, and that's why I don't really like Black Clover so far, even though I feel like it has kind of made its impression on anime in its own way. So yeah, I'm ready.
A fine line for sure.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that's gonna do it for us over here for today. Feels good to have that part 2 in the books.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But I usually say this week. Let me say real quick. Ending these things is the hardest thing ever. Like starting is like, hey guys, what's fucking going on? It's us back again for another episode. And then the end is always like, yeah, I'm trying to read this, and but thanks for stopping by. Like and subscribe, and see you tomorrow. Bye, and also later, and whatever. What the fuck? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I feel that.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, we'll see you next time. You already got all our info. We'll catch you later. See ya.